What's up, everybody? It is your sis and your friend Crystal Whitaker right here on the Morning Jam podcast, where we talk about any and everything personal, old snaps and claps. It's a dang good day to talk about a few things. So let's get into it. What's up, everybody? It is your sis and your friend Crystal Whitaker right here on the Morning Jam podcast and with very own Pastor Sky Franklin. Hello, Pastor. How are you?
I am doing amazing. How are you?
Listen, I'm wonderful. I'm so good. So happy to have you on the show. I had your husband not too long ago, but listen, he was like, "You need to get my wife on here. She is amazing. She's wonderful." He pumped you up, sis, like he put you
Oh
on
my, he is
high.
my biggest fan. I kid you not. Like I love him so much. Like there's nothing that he doesn't do that he doesn't throw my name. Even stuff that I don't even want to do. He's like, no, contact my wife. So I love him so much. So thank you so
Oh,
much
that's
for having me on your
good.
show.
Yes, he is very awesome guy. Very talented young man. I love it. So this interview is not about him. This is about you, sis. So let's get started on who Miss Scott Franklin, Pastor Scott Franklin is. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
You know what? I am one of the most down to earth pastors you'll ever meet. When God told me he wanted me to be ordained, I was like, Jesus, like, I'm not trying to deal with your people. Like, no, like, that's not what's going to go down. But he knew that
I love
I had a heart for people. I mean, I have a huge heart. I love people so much. And so, it's one of those things that where I love where everybody and anybody, they know they can come to me with anything. There's no judgment. The Bible says, my favorite scripture says that by loving kindness have I drawn thee. So I don't care what somebody's going through. I don't care what you're in. It's my job to love you through that thing. And that's kind of
right.
how I live my entire life. And it's funny because that's who my family is. Like I was brought up in this huge family. My dad was the baby of 11 kids. My mom, who it's only like five of them, but our family reunions on my mom's side is like 300 deep, right? I mean,
Oh
it's
wow.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and we're close. Like it's not like, oh, you don't know who that person is. Like don't get it twisted. Once you got past 150, everybody needed to do some like name tags for the new ones. But we
Right.
close knit. And so outside of COVID, we were doing that family reunion, every other year. So, just being around love is my background. So like I said, when God told me to do certain things in my life, it just made sense because that's who I am.
Right.
So
Right.
so yeah, so my background has been in acting. I've been an actress. Gosh, I got the acting bug like when I was like 15, and that's when I started doing stage plays. And it's so funny because even now, my heart's desire is to be on Hallmark. Like I am like that Christmas girl. Like you don't even understand this. Like I am cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over Christmas, because I come
All
from a big
right.
family, right? So Christmas was like on steroids for us. Like when I met my poor husband, God bless him, his family is very subdued. For them, Christmas is just about spending time with each other. Uh-uh.
Mm-hmm.
No, my family, we going all out. We got piles of Christmas presents. If somebody's pile is not as big as the other, we going back to the store. Like that's how we get down. Like trying to bring in the biggest tree. We wanted to like scrape the ceiling. Girl, foolishness.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it though. But I love Christmas too. Like that is like my favorite time of year. Like Thanksgiving. We can't skip over Thanksgiving. We have to wait till like a few days or the night of Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving to put up the Christmas tree. Hey, we can't skip that holiday. So it is big for me. It's definitely big for me.
Yeah. I love it. Like I'm that person, I'm already doing my Christmas movies in July. Like I'm that chick, I have my
Oh
Hallmark.
my, I am
Oh,
so
it's
not
deep.
that. Not in July.
Oh, girl, it's deep. I'm telling you. Babe can call me like if I'm doing something in the house, he's like, it's so quiet back there. I'm like, I'm watching Hallmark. Like it's a Christmas movie. He's like, but you've seen it 5 times. Loose here. Like, let me do this. So yes, I love
Yeah,
it.
you can do your thing. Let me live in the moment of the Hallmark.
That
I'm
person
definitely a
over
Hallmark person too.
years, I've converted him. Like it's so like I love it when they always say that when you get married, you become one, right? And so I love it when I'm watching a Christmas movie and he comes in and he starts telling me the plot. I'm like, oh, so you've been watching the
You
movie.
have been seeing it, huh?
That part. He's like, I caught it, on my way going by. I'm like, no, 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 no.
Yeah,
It's
you
so
was sneaking,
we are
looking over
coming in
behind the couch. You was looking.
that part. So
Listen,
yeah.
I'm so honored to have you on the show. I love your personality. I love the bubbly. I love because that's me too. I love to talk. I love to just. I'm a people's person too. I think I get that from my mom because she never meets a stranger, and my mom's a pastor as well. I'm number 11 out of 12 siblings. So I do know the big side of the family thing. I am one to say that I don't know half, well, probably half of my family, but I don't know a lot of my family. Both sides of my family is big. My mom's side is bigger than my dad's, but they're not short stopping behind them at all. My aunt had 14. My great grandmother had 21 children. Like it's a huge thing. It's
Yeah.
big. So I totally understand where you come from. So let's get into Pastor Scott Franklin, how wonderful of a woman that you are and an entrepreneur with the new brand that you have. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's get into the t-shirt brand that you have called Love. Let's get into it.
So it's so interesting that, Loveware Apparel was born, and it was two-sided. And what I mean by that is, so if I had to quickly take you back, I would say maybe 8 years ago is when it started. So I've been saved since seventh grade, right? Me and God, we've been rocking for a long time together. And, I call him my dad. He's our Heavenly Father. But when you're saved, you have a relationship, he's not like the big
Absolutely.
guy in the
Yes.
sky. So to me, he's just my dad, And so it started like 8 years ago that whenever I was having like a bad day, he would show me a heart. And I don't mean like just a
Mm.
heart like in the sky, like even though I still see clouds or whatever, but no, sis, I'm talking about like I would pull out a potato chip and it's in the shape of a perfect heart. Or
Oh, wow.
yeah, or like one day I'll never forget. It had just got through raining. I went out to my car, and on the passenger side, the condensation came out into a perfect heart, right? And he did this all the time. Every single time there was a bad day or something hopped off that, rubbed me the wrong way, it was always like that conversation. Like he was always like saying, I got you. Like, I saw what happened.
Mhm.
You're good, that kind of thing. Well, then it turned into not just showing me hearts when I was having an off day, but it was like an everyday thing. Like I started seeing them everywhere all the time. So this was like this conversation between me and God for like 8 years, right? So now speed up. When the George Floyd murder took place, it hit me really hard. Like you have to understand, like it's so
Yeah.
funny God created me because I'm this bubbly person. I love everybody. I love life. However, I also was born in a family of just people who, there's all kind of people in my family. There's doctors, there's, a lawyer, there's authors, whatever, whatever. And so, when it comes to equality, when it comes to, world peace, when it comes to just people in general, like we take that.
Mhm.
My dad was one of the advocates over the union, so it's like he was always that guy that stood for
Yeah.
justice. But I was born on August the 28th, such a historical day, like on August the 28th, that's, the same day when Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech, August the 28th is the day for the Emmett Till murder, so there's so much that went on
Right.
for this day. And so even though it's a different year, those are the kind of conversations that was always surrounding me, right? So
Mhm.
when George, was murdered in the street, like sis, I cried for days. Like I could not stop crying
Yeah,
because,
that was terrible. So
right?
heartbreaking. Yeah.
It was one of those things where, even my husband, he was like, babe, you got to find a way to decompress. He's like, because you bring it to bed. Like, like it weighed on my heart. Like, what can I do? I
Yeah.
got part of this. Like, there's something that I need to do because by that time, the world was just so divided. I mean, we already knew that there was hatred because of, stuff that was happening, but it like
Right. Yeah.
right to a different level. And so long story short, I was on a board at my job at the time, and we had this newsletter, and my department was called the Good News, right? So something so
Mhm.
easy for me to write, like I can write good news, girl, I'm asleep, you know what I mean? And when it was time for us to write the next edition, I couldn't think of anything good to talk about, like nothing, sis. And I
Oh,
tried,
wow.
I
Yeah.
tried, I tried, you know, girl, there was no puppies being born. Child, there was nothing happening in Africa. Like nothing was going on good because everybody was, the whole world was mourning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at
Yeah.
the time, I was like, Dad, what do you want me to write? Because I got nothing. And that's when he said, write from your heart. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He was like, the reason why people want you to write these, articles, these fluff articles, because they make you feel good. You read about something
Mhm.
going on in the world, makes you feel good as a human being. He said, but I put that in each and every one of you. You all can be the goodwill that you want to feel from reading an article. It starts very small. It starts from just being polite to somebody. It starts from holding the door when you're walking into a building. If you see somebody behind you, it starts from, when you're walking past somebody, don't put your head down, on purpose to avoid
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
when giving me these things, I was like, gosh, like you're so right. Like it's so easy to make a kind gesture. Something as small as if you're driving, if somebody lets you over, just give a little friendly way to say thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So I wrote this article and that's all I was talking about. So it's like there was nothing in there to say, oh, you are a horrible person, because I was only the Black person, right? Yeah, the token.
Yeah.
I was the Black person. So I didn't make it a race thing, I just said that as the world is sitting here watching Minneapolis on fire, because that's when all the buildings were burning, I was like,
Yeah.
my heart was just so heavy. But I began to explain, we can be the goodwill feeling. We can be, those reminders of just showing kindness, right? Well, there was a young
Yeah.
lady who was not Black, I can say that, who was over putting the articles in the template, right? And but I was on the board and I was the director of communications, so it had to come back to me for like my final approval. And when I
Right.
got it back, I saw that my article had been chopped up, sliced up, like, uh-huh. And when I
Oh
asked her,
wow.
yeah, I was like, can you tell me why the article was, altered? She lied. She said nothing was wrong. Nothing happened to that. And I was like, well, sis, if it was 400 words and now it's 200, like, so something happened,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she got mad at me and was like, fine. And so she ended up publishing it. But from my understanding, whispers started going on after that I was trying to rock the boat, that I was being a troublemaker, that I was,
Oh
yeah.
wow.
And it's that thing, that, now keep in mind, I just told you my history. My dad was an advocator. He was always,
Right.
so I learned a long time ago that if you make somebody uncomfortable, instead of them dealing with why they're uncomfortable, they'll just get rid of you. So about a week or so after that is when I was let go, like
Oh
out the
wow.
blue. There was no performance issues. I had never been written up. I had been on that job for maybe like 3.5 years. I had gone in when I had pneumonia. Like I was a dedicated person. My
Right.
inbox empty. All the work was done. Like there was no rhyme or reason. It was just, hey, thank you for your service. Come get your stuff. And sis, all I can tell you is that God gave me such a major peace that truly surpassed all understanding. Like because it wasn't like I was just sitting on thousands of dollars, right? Like this is
Right.
the
Yeah.
that was being taken away. And I was like, okay, Dad, like what's next? And then through a couple of conversations with family members, they were like, why don't you just start your own clothing line? They're like, you love fashion. And I was like, that's a big task. Like, what? Like, what are you saying? And they were like,
Right.
you can do this, and they were like, just do
Yeah.
something with love. You're like, you see hearts every day. That's how Loveware came about. And, sis, God is amazing because, I told him, I was like, well, Dad, I don't want to be a t-shirt company. Like, if I'm going to do this, I want to be a luxury line. And so
Mm.
that's what we did. Like everything that we poured into my company, it is finding the softest fabrics. I mean, tri-blends, everything that we do is of such a caliber level. Because my thing is, if you're going to spend X amount of dollars, you want it to last and you want it to feel good.
Right. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
on top of that, you can rock something about love on it. So you're spreading the message of love, but you're going to look fly while you're doing it, And so
Absolutely. Yes.
that's,
I
so
like
that's
the
how
I
Love
like the
Girl.
t-shirts. I like the t-shirts that you have, which was the jigsaw one. I love
Oh,
that
yeah,
one. That's
thank
like,
you.
and then I like the faith in it, the one that's faith in it. I
Yeah,
love that one. That one's the newest one that's just dropped, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
Thank you.
You said, is it, what is the LEV different from the LOVE? Break that
So
down
it's
for me.
so funny that when we got ready to start, first of all, I was just looking at different designs that I wanted to create. And, nothing was really, nothing was really just sticking with me for my logo, And so, my husband, matter of fact, he said, well, babe, let's just go to Google. Google is everything, He was like, let's just look up and let's just get the actual definition of what love is. And maybe that will give you some like inspiration. Well, funny enough, sis, you remember when we were kids, there used to be that thing called Hooked on Phonics?
Yes.
All right. So the love phonetically, if you will, the spelling of it is L with the reverse EV. That is how it is spelled in the dictionary. And that just
Okay.
to me, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. So now I'm doing even more research. Like, is it Greek? Is it Hebrew? It's like I'm like going all deep or whatever. But in actuality, it's just phonetically spelled, and that's how, if you were to look it up in the dictionary, that's how the dictionary spells it. So we were able to incorporate that as part of our logo.
Right. I definitely love it. And then the one with the love thy neighbor on there, that's like one of my favorites too. And then the life curve, him T, I love that one too. So those like my favorite ones that I like. So I love it. So what
Thank
so
you.
what made you want to go into, I know you said that you're into fashion already. So there could have been a whole bunch of other things that you did in fashion instead of like the t-shirt branding. So what made you land on that first?
You know
I know
what?
that
I
you want
started
a
thinking,
big.
yeah, it was one of those things where, so have you ever, okay, like, I don't know how much you go to church, but, for me, it's
Mhm.
funny that, like say it's a day where I'm rocking a cross, right? Or maybe it's a
Right.
day
Yeah.
where I have, a shirt on that says Team Jesus or whatever. Like that's the very day that somebody tries you, right? Like that's the very day when somebody wants to cut you off in traffic or get smart with you at the store. Like that's the
Yeah.
day when the devil tries you, right? And it's almost funny because if you're wearing something, it kind of snaps you back. Like, you know what? I could clap back, but I'm not. I'm not. Like I'm not going to do that. It's like it quickly reminds you of who you represent, right? And so that's when I started thinking about the power of words. And I was like, if I can do something to help this world just, get it together, like, you want to snap back, but let's do another option. It's going to be real hard for you to cuss somebody out if you got love that neighbor on your shirt. You know what I mean? And
Right. I
so
want to put shirt. Don't you see what shirt I'm wearing today? Isn't
that
that
part,
funny? Like really?
that part. And it's so funny because I was talking to a group of ladies about, the mission of how I love spreading love because it's an awareness, and one girl was like, listen, I can put on a sweater, cuss them out, and then take my sweater off. No, sis, don't do that. Don't
Some
do
people will do that in a minute. They'll do it in a minute.
right. So that was, kind of like the goal, because even though like you and I may come from big families, talking is nothing for us. We're very loquacious people, but you have some people that are very shy. They don't really know how to have that conversation.
Right.
How do you love somebody that you don't like? How do you love your ex? Like when you start thinking about all the different degrees of love, you know, it's a hard conversation to have sometimes. But if you can wear a shirt that simply says, hey, I love you, even though I don't even know you, but I'm gonna show you love, I think of it as my contribution to kind of turn this world around. There's so much hate in the world, so many things that we could be angry about. But if you just realize that truly love is all around you, like it really
Mhm.
is, there's always something that you can smile about. And
Yeah.
love is one of the things that are universal. And for the love thy neighbor, let me tell you why that one is so near to and dear to my heart. Because again, it was God inspired. Everything that I have, please understand, it is not because I'm such a brilliant person. Girl, please, I wish. Like literally, I keep a pad and pencil like in my purse, by the bed, because I'll be laying around and God will just drop something in me. And I'm like, man, that's dope, and I'll have to sketch it out like right then and there. And so as February was coming about, I was like, okay, Dad, what are we going to do for Valentine's Day? And when he said, love thy neighbor, I was like, yo, like, okay, like you gave me the words, but now you got to give me everything. Like, how do I do it? And I just saw this celebration of cultures in my head. Like immediately, I just saw different, heritage cultures, whatever.
Yeah.
that's when you know it's a God idea. It wasn't my thing. Like I just put a call out to two friends who I knew dealt with, like, here in Jacksonville, we have World of Nations. I'm sure they have it everywhere, but we have a
Mhm.
World of Nations where they bring all these different cultures together. And I said, hey, I'm working on this project. I would love to just celebrate different cultures. I'm like, so if you know anybody who wants to be down, let them reach out to me. And so it was, I mean, it was so amazing that I just cried, because there were Dominican Republicans that said, yeah, I want
Mhm.
to be down. There were Russians, there were Germans, there were Syrians, there was Singaporeans, there were African Americans. There were so many nationalities being represented. So we came
Yeah.
together. My husband is my number one photographer. And so we just had this amazing day of shooting everybody celebrating their culture. They had flags, they had purses. They were just rocking whatever their colors are, that represented their flag. And these
Right.
were a group of people who we did not know each other. Like out of the group, I think I knew maybe three people. And by the end of the entire session, we were hugging, we were laughing, we were like acting like we grew up together. And that's what the Love Thy Neighbor is about. I think there's so much division because not only is there hatred, but there's also ignorance. We don't want to
Yeah.
get to somebody who looks different from us, so we'll just shy away from it. Versus with this one, I wanted to celebrate everything. It wasn't even about religion. Like, I don't care who you worship. Like, I worship God. I don't care if you worship a tree. Like, it wasn't about
Mhm.
that. It was to celebrate. It was just to celebrate your heritage, and the fact that so many people wanted to be a part of it because they were just so grateful that somebody wanted to do that. And so
Yeah.
that's the Love Thy Neighbor, sis. It is so um to this day, it still like just makes me tear up, because not only was I able to show love to my neighbor, but I was able to celebrate them for who they are. And to this day, they are some of the sweetest people. We still contact each other. They're still, messaging me. So it was a
Right.
friendship developed. And so
So
I
so
think
what do you, so what do you think about different ones that will maybe even come up to you, even wearing your t-shirt that's got love on it, that's saying, okay, like love thy neighbor, or just a love symbol
yeah,
on there.
yeah.
What would you say to someone that walk up and say, hey, what's love got to do with it? You know the song, what's love got to do with
Exactly. Love has everything to do with it, because what people have to understand, love has more to do with you than it does anybody else. I mean, when you think
Right.
about cancers and sicknesses, and I'm not saying that cancers are strictly because of hate. No, what I am saying though is, our body, it was created to release toxins when we're stressed out, when we're angry, when there's certain emotions that we feel. Scientifically, our body releases toxins in our bodies, and so if you don't do something with those toxins, sicknesses and diseases actually will, develop. And it's so funny when you see somebody, maybe you went to high school with somebody, right, and you run into them and
Yeah.
they look like they done had a hard life, right? They look like
Like, girl, you
way
done let yourself go.
that part, right? And when you like hear their story, a lot of them, they just got so much anger, they mad, they bitter, they got this going on. And you like, that's
Yeah.
why I look like that, right? Those toxins, they truly do get in your body. So when you are able to access a level of love that supersedes the individual, you're doing it for yourself. The beautiful thing is it's contagious, because if you have a good attitude, other people are going to have a good attitude.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's what I would tell somebody who, maybe they're in a funk, maybe they've been hurt, maybe they've been betrayed, maybe somebody cheated on them, whatever is going on. Maybe it's you know sometimes the hardest person to love is your own family members, because you don't expect your family to be the ones that hurt you. Yeah.
Girl, you didn't say it. Pastor, I'm gonna call you Pastor on that one. Pastor, you didn't say something right there. Family is definitely one that will definitely put a stamp on your life of like, maybe put a mud hole in there too. And just wonder why. Like, you're supposed to love me in the midst of all of this, and now you're beating me while I'm down,
Yes. And
or
here's the
beating me
thing,
where I'm trying to get up.
when you when you learn the levels and degrees of how to operate in love, it's so
Yeah.
freeing. Yes, like my dad, he's passed by now, passed now, but we had to go through a hard part of our relationship. I love
Yeah.
my dad. My dad is my dude. I love him so much, but he had some stuff that just wasn't cool. And I had to make the decision for my well-being to say, look, until you get yourself together, don't call me no more. Like literally, like don't call me. I need you to work out whatever you got going on in your life. And that was
Oh,
a hard
that's
conversation to have because he's my dad. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Went through all kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, he was able to accept that. He was able to man up, if you will. He was able to say, like, I needed that conversation. It took a long time. It did. It took my dad maybe, gosh, we probably didn't talk for maybe 6 or 7 months, if not longer than that.
Oh,
And
wow.
I meant what I said. Like, I'm saved. Yes, I'm a pastor, but I have the right to protect my peace. And if you're going to do
Hmm.
anything to mess up my peace, I'm not going to release toxins in my body for you. I'm not about to get old looking for you. No, that's not what's going down. So I need you to get it
That's what
together.
we're about here.
Right. And so that love from a distance is truly what I had to put into practice. And the benefit was, he was able to see, I know what she's talking about. So when we came back together, it was stronger than we'd ever been. So
You
that's
know,
why.
that's a really hard thing for me to do because I'm definitely close to my family. I'm close to my siblings, close to my sisters. Like they are just and this it's really like a hard thing. I'm finally now learning to like, okay, I love you guys, but I have to be happy for me. I have to have that love for me. I gotta, work on me. I gotta move for me. It's just a lot of things, but I still that love. Like
Yeah.
I know that your shirts may be a conversation starter. And even with different ones wearing it, they're going to come up like, hey, what is this about? Because especially with the LED, because they're going to want to know. So it's definitely a conversation starter for me, like looking at your shirts and different ones wearing it. So, and in that, that was really good because that's like hit home for me when you brought in like the family and the love and everything. Because I know this conversation can go a different way, and it kind of is, but I like it this way too. But with the family thing because that's big, and I'm going to talk to you on this. We've talked about your shirt, your brand, your love apparel. That's wonderful. Y'all go out and support Miss Franklin. Okay, go get these t-shirts. But for me, I want to talk on that for a minute because that's something really dear to me. Uh, to really work on me and to really detach myself because we've always been like this, me and my sisters, and we've always moved together, sing together, did everything together, but it was more like I'm here trying to do this and they are here. Even with my parents, it's more like, okay, if y'all stay together, it would just, but I'm outgrowing this and I'm trying to stretch myself. I'm trying to grow and I know that God has more for me and I know that there's things. So it's really hard. So how do one really come about? Like I know the love, we've talked about that. So again, I love them. So how do I detach myself without even bending the relationship, bending if there's any hurt there, or learning even to speak up for myself in that.
So it's so interesting that you're talking about this because it was just, I want to say, sis, maybe 3 weeks ago that I had to actually bring a message about this very topic. And
Hmm.
what I stated was, so think about when Peter had to get out of the boat, right? He had to do
Hmm.
something that was totally different than what anybody else was doing, right? We've all
Right.
heard the story of Peter, but it was other things that God was illuminating for me that I had never even thought about. One of the
Right.
things
Yeah.
to let me know was the obedience to whatever God is telling you to do has to outweigh everything else for multiple reasons. You got to understand that if you don't get in place to where you're supposed to be, you're only going to hurt them. And that's not your desire, but you're going to hurt them because you're not where you're supposed to be. There's people waiting on you. There's other projects that God is waiting on you to get there. There's answers that only you can give. But if you're holding on to appease somebody else, well, now you're standing in a place to where you can only hurt them and not help them because you're out of line,
Hmm.
right? And then I started thinking about, okay, well, God, for Peter to step out of the boat, like, come on, let's
Yeah.
get real. When I started doing the study of this, it wasn't like Peter just walked out in a cute little, storm. No, it was a hurricane. It was like a
Yeah.
category 3 hurricane. And what God had to let me know is, he said, but I'm the only person who knows what's on the other side of my commandment. Meaning that Peter was like, yo, if that's you, tell me I can come. God said, come. And what he's saying is, if he's telling you, okay, Crystal, I need you to move over here. I need you to expand yourself over here. Yeah, they may want you to stay with this person. Yeah, they may want you to do this. But if I'm telling you to do this, that's because I know what's on the other side of this. I know what's on the other side, those things that you can't see. And so when I started thinking about that, I had to take it personally. There was a
Mhm.
decision at that time that God was telling me that I had to make. I didn't want to make that decision. It was the hardest decision that I ever had to make. I was going to have to leave a familiar setting, familiar people, right? And I didn't want to. Part of me was afraid. Let's just get real. Like, this is
Yeah.
unknown, this is uncharted waters. Like, I've been used to this for so long. Even in misery, you will stay because it's familiar. You know how to handle this misery. So now
Yeah.
God is telling you to do something on the other side. You're asking him for deliverance. You're asking him for peace. You're asking him for money. You're asking him for love, whatever. And he's like, I got you, but it's going to be on the other side. And when he finally told me to do it, I was like, oh, like, is there not another way? Like, listen, is there not another scripture I can find? Like, I tried everything. And at the end of the day, he told me, he said, everything that you're asking me for, I got you. But it's going to be on the other side of you saying yes to what I've told you to do.
So a lot of times, and I love the answer that you gave me. And a lot of times, is it? I think sometimes I feel like I am in a place by myself. Like, I know that there's growth here. I know that there's more that I can be doing in the move. Of course, I'm gonna tell you, I'm in the process of moving.
Okay.
So in the process, I don't want to feel like I'm alone. And I know that there's God is with me and all of that. So in that process of how do I feel like, okay, I know that God is with me. I know that this is going to work for me.
Yeah. So it's interesting because so before I even met my husband, right? So let me take you back. So me and Anthony have been together for about 7+ years now. Before that, oh gosh, I don't even know how long it had been. Maybe was it 8 years by myself? I think I was by myself for 8 years. And so in those 8 years, when I tell you I had the time of my life, not only did I get to know me, like I've always been a secure person. Like that's no big
Mhm.
deal. But I got to know me with just God. Like, I kid you not. Like, some people think, being safe is corny. Girl, please, I had the best time
Right.
in the world. I was able to discover things that I love doing. Like, oh my, I'm the best date ever. What? Like, I can take myself horseback riding. I can go out to Maggiano's. Like, I'm the best date. I leave myself wanting more, right? So, in that time, you know, when I had those moments where I felt alone, like, me and my brother are like twins, but my brother's in Atlanta, and I had a sister here, but my sister, there is family stuff, right? There's family stuff so I wasn't
Right.
able to always see her, be around her. And so there was those moments I just kind of felt like I was just out there. But I can tell you, sis, that because I didn't give into the loneliness, because loneliness is a real thing, it really is. I don't have kids except for my son by marriage. So you're sitting in your apartment or your home and you just looking around, and it's only so much Family Feud you can
Yeah.
watch. There's only so much Steve Harvey that's going to do it for me. And so in those moments, though, he started showing me different things that I enjoyed doing, different crafts, the acting. Just he started filling my life in such a way to where I'm not trying to be funny. When I met my husband, I didn't even see Anthony. Like, literally, like, I'm a music head. Like, my family, we're huge on music, and he was in a rap group back then. He did a concert that I so happened to be at, and that's the only thing I wanted for him was his music. Like, he's a fine dude. I didn't even see all that. All I saw was I just wanted this cat's music. That's it,
Right.
That's like the friendship, because my life was so full of all these other things. But I'm telling you, sis, I've been there, and you can and you will move past that, because it's such a small segment. The loneliness,
Yeah.
it really is, it's so small in compared to this amazing life that God has for you. And let me just go ahead and just tell you, I know people think, like you just said, like, God is with me all the time.
Yeah.
I get that. However, comma, let me help you understand. He is not sitting in your living room. He's not going to be like, wrapping his arm around you. No, like it really is a thing where he's there, but sometimes you want a physical form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And right. So I used to tell him, look here, Dad, like if you ain't gonna come down from heaven and sit on the couch with me, you're gonna have to give me something to do because I'm bored. I ain't trying to club. I ain't trying to drop it like it's hot. So
Right.
what? Right. And so because I'm able to have that real conversation, because he's my dad, I was able to talk to him. He began to take me through a journey of just, like I said, self-discovery and even more that I already knew, which set me up for the things that I'm doing now. If I didn't go through that time of separation, right? I wouldn't be the person that I am right now, So I'm telling you, sis, while you were in your move, those moves are not always going to be easy. They're not going to feel good. Separating from your family, separating from a loved one, separating from anybody, a relationship. It is that detachment that you almost feel like you're losing a piece of you because that piece has been a joint at the hip for so long, But sis, it is the most liberating thing. Oh my gosh. When you get into you, and here's the thing, you got to get to that place, sis, where you are unapologetically dope. I mean that seriously. When you can get to that place where you no longer feel like you have to explain or apologize for the moves that God is telling you to make.
That's it right there.
Yeah, it opens up a whole window of freedom for you to be free to move. And here's the thing, the naysayers, family, friends, loved ones, all the ones that said, girl, you crazy. I don't know why you doing that. And all of this stuff, when they start seeing these moves that God is putting you in, those will become your biggest fans. Like your biggest fans, people who didn't understand why I was starting Loveware, girl, you lost your job. What you getting ready to do? All that stuff. Now, they're buying shirts every single week, but it only happened because I was obedient. So I'm encouraging you, sis, and anybody else who hears this, when it's time to step out the boat, you got to know that if God is telling you to do it, he's telling you to do it because he's already spoke to your circumstances. He's already told your circumstances to line up. Like, I got some things I need Crystal to do. So look, I need y'all to act right over here. Money, I need you to come in over here. Person, I need you to invest. Like, he's already talked to all these people. You don't know, but it's one of those things that when he tells you to come, when he tells you to get out the boat, that's because he knows this amazing life that is waiting on you. You just got to get there.
Oh, I so appreciate it. That was so great. Thank you, Miss Pastor Sky Franklin. Right here on the Morning Jam with your sis and your friend Crystal Whitaker, the Morning Jam podcast. I better say that. Right here with your sis and your friend Crystal Whitaker, the special guest, Pastor Sky Franklin. Pastor, let them know where they can connect with you, where they can get the apparel, Loveware apparel. Let them know where they can get the 411 on you.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can go, of course, to www.lovewearapparel.com. I think there's another Loveware out there, but I'm lovewearapparel.com. And I'm not trying to blow my own horn, but we got some of the dopest stuff out there, y'all. It is like it's amazing. Yeah, it feels good. It's garments that's going to last you forever. You don't have to worry about, you washing it and the letters falling off. Like, no, when you get it, it's going to be a care instruction, on the card to tell you how to take care of it. You can find me on Facebook at Sky Keys Franklin. We're on Facebook as Lovewear Apparel. We're on IG as Lovewear_apparel. So I'm a real person. So people, you can reach out to me, you can chat me, I do answer, even though I do have people, like I'm the person that's going to be talking to you. So I don't want you to feel like if you, send me a chat, it's like a bot. No, it's going to be me. And like I said, I'm just a real person. So whether people call me pastor or they just call me Sky, I'm a real person. I love seeing people look good. And also, our company is unisex. So fellas, we got stuff for you too. It's not just for the women, And so, yeah, I encourage you guys, go out there and just go shopping. You'll have a ball. And when you get it, you will love it.
That's awesome. I love it. So I want to ask you one last question, and we're going to be really short because we're running out of time. You heard the Monique thing about women out here dressing and with the bonnets, with the flip-flops, the pajamas, all of this. What do you think about her, statement on bringing that to the front to the ladies. Like, come on, I'm gonna tap you on your shoulder. I see you out here in some pajamas and stuff and a bonnet on.
Here's the thing. I appreciate the conversation because I think that sometimes we just need an awareness. We just need somebody to snap us back. Like I can remember, my entire time growing up, there was nobody in my family that ever walked out with house shoes. Like you couldn't take the trash out with house shoes. There was no bonnet. There was no, oh, I'm gonna run to the store with rollers in your head. Like, nah, like that was not even heard of. And so to see that so many women have adopted this culture that it's okay to walk out. I understand you want to preserve your hairstyle. I get that, but there has to be a different way to present yourself, So I appreciate the conversation. It's not to dog somebody out. It's just to tell them, hey, sis, level up a little bit. Like a lot of people are like, oh, girl, I want me an Obama. I want me a Denzel. Yeah, but you don't carry yourself like Paula and you're not a Michelle. You know what I'm saying?
Come on with that.
That part. So it's like a lot of times when I hear these young ladies, saying all these wonderful characteristics they want, to be honest with you, if we can just be honest, the type of dude that you want is not looking for you dressed like that. You're just not. If that dude that you're saying is the caliber guy that you want, he's not looking for a chick that's going to be out wearing a bonnet, So either you're going to lower your standards or you're going to have to raise up. And, so,
I love it. Thank you for your answer. Again, right here with your sis and your friend Crystal Whitaker with the one and only special guest, Miss Sky Franklin. You guys go out and support her, love on her and her Love Wear apparel. Go get it. It is amazing. I'm going to go get it, and it's going to be posted on my IG and Facebook. You guys, once again, right here, and we are out on the Morning Jam podcast. Bye, sweetheart. Love you. Thank you for the inspiration. Have an amazing day.
Thank you. You too. Bye, sis.
If you enjoyed this podcast, tune in each week on thinkingoutloudnetwork.com. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share with your friends and family. Until next time, peace.